This is actually the first different take in an episode recap that I ever noticed, probably because it's such a different take. Here's Sokka in the original episode when Sokka gets separated from them, and he's like, oh my fucking god! Suki! And here he is in the recap, where he's just like, oh no. Suki! Remember how I mentioned like 50 episodes ago that each title screen has its own unique little jingle? Well, Avatar Aang has the Avatar theme to go along with it. Oh, and another kind of overall thing to mention too. This completes the color of the finales lining up with the book titles. Book 1's finale was in blue, Book 2's finale was in green, and now Book 3's finale is in red. Interesting that last episode we clearly counted 14 for 14 airships being hit. The one Sokka and Toph are on right now managed to stay in the air after being hit obviously, and so did a few more. But this one in the foreground even has its firebender still doing his job. And so does the ship they're on actually. Shit, these guys are dedicated I guess. I wouldn't still be out on that platform after feeling an impact like this. Now I've lost all semblance of an idea on how many ships are left in the air now. It makes sense that more would be less damage towards the end of the airship slice and able to stay in the air, so I'll give the show the benefit of the doubt. These sparks that Sokka's sword is leaving behind I get, but in this shot, would there still be sparks getting kicked up all the way up here? Answer, probably not. Your leg? What about your back? Your arm? You just felt like 50 feet, then came to a dead stop and then had to hold on to a probably 80-pound girl. How was your arm still attached to your body? How did you even manage to hurt your leg? I'm just saying, with my knowledge of fall arrest, these firebenders would still definitely die if they fell off this thing for any considerable distance and only had these lifelines to stop their fall. They need some guardrails on this shit. I'm gonna have to write them up for this. I love Sokka's big moment here. It's not some world-saving moment, but it's a moment that really highlights what Sokka's about. He's intelligent, quick-thinking, and resourceful. And he's always wanted to be this crazy, badass warrior, and he gets to be a crazy, badass warrior by using those traits. Awesome writing. Dude, if you watch Space Sword here after Sokka throws it, it like keeps going and curves up. How hard did he throw that?
Why Space Sword?
Ah, man, why am I getting sentimental for a sword?
I don't think Boomerang is coming back, Toph.
Okay, I'm gonna let myself be sentimental for that one. Boomerang's always supposed to come back. The ship Suki somehow pilots from the outside to ram this other ship seems pristine here in this shot, even though we definitely heard it take an impact last episode just before Suki got trapped on it. This whole mission was the perfect way to wrap Sokka up. He's come so far in so many ways. He gets his big badass moment, yes, but he's always wanted to be a leader too, and he's calling more shots now and being confident about them than he ever has before. And that's not even to mention that he started this series as a guy who didn't think girls can do what guys can. And here he is at the end of the war, his crack squad being that of 2 girls that he's depending on and that he's extremely confident in. Man, good thing Combustion Man got dealt with before the Comet arrived, right? That probably wouldn't have gone well. There's gonna be a few moments in this final video where you're gonna say I'm going too easy on the show, and this is probably one of them. Aang getting jolted into the Avatar state because this rock just so happened to point out like this. It's never really bothered me that much. We've had mentions about Azula's lightning being the reason he can't go back into the Avatar state, and we've been looking at that scar all season. And if you want to get mad about little conveniences, well, it's awfully convenient that Sokka's sword landed just like that so he could kick it up into his free hand, right? You can argue that about a ton of stuff. It's a cartoon and a story, and that's part of storytelling. Sometimes things just line up. There are gonna be moments that just work out. That's part of the medium. Could there have been a better way to do this? A more spiritually significant moment? Oh, definitely. But I think there is merit in having it come out just as an outcome of the heat of the battle. It's cool, it's dynamic, it's a big moment. Me, personally, I've never had a problem with it. Oh, and I've always made this awful joke in my head too. Aang already got his back slammed into a rock wall once this fight and nothing happened. And I mean, it's a 50-50 shot. Either it happens or it doesn't. So I'd say he was due. Dude, and I love how up in Ozai's face Aang gets here. He's like, what the fuck is up right now? Fuck, this is cool. Fuck, this is cool. Yes, I meant to say that twice. There's absolutely merit in having your shit just look cool and letting your audience just enjoy how dope and powerful your characters are. And this show basically hasn't done it with Aang alone in the Avatar state yet. It's always been cut short, or he was half fish, but usually it's cut short. But not this time. This is the only time we get to see Aang go completely gorilla shit and have no moral or physical obstacles to get in his way. This is payoff. This is what everyone's been waiting for the entire show. Paying Aang some visual spectacle for waiting so long hits the note just right. I'm pretty sure that's not how water works, but you do your thing, Aang. Oh, there goes Jong Jong with his fucking firewalls again. This moment with Iroh pays homage to a line from the end of Book 2.
Many times I imagined myself here, at the threshold of the palace. But I always thought I would be here as a conqueror.
Iroh is here as a conqueror, but destiny's a funny thing. This might be the coolest fucking move in the whole show, and Aang actually uses some of Toph's hand movements for it too. She's the only person we've ever seen use these motions, so that's a cool detail too. Alright, so Zuko is still somewhat mobile after taking a bolt of lightning, which seems weird. If you're paying attention though, he did actually redirect it. He caught Azula's lightning with 2 fingers, but immediately brought his hands to his chest. But the next shot we see the lightning shooting up into the sky, which means Zuko didn't take the direct hit. He actually did manage to redirect it. What seems to have happened to me is that Zuko incorrectly redirected the lightning. Iroh described that you need to let the energy flow through your stomach and not across your chest and through your heart, or else the damage could be deadly. So Zuko taking this hit and being able to like be alive makes a little more sense than you might think. All of that being said though, Iroh described letting normal lightning pass through your heart being a pretty foobar situation. So I feel like Comet boosted lightning should probably be a death sentence.
I'd really rather our family physician look after little Zuzu if you don't mind.
With all of my problems with Azula in this finale, her being able to so effortlessly generate lightning isn't one of them, actually. Iroh tells Zuko you need peace of mind to generate lightning, and that doesn't perfectly describe Azula right now, but you've had those moments of realization at some point where you've gotten really good at something and you're like, wow, I'm not even really doing it in the way I was taught. I'm just doing it in this other way that works for me. And it works for you because you're so familiar with it. And with how perfect Azula wants to be, my brain can definitely make the leap that she just has a mastery to that degree. And I know you're gonna clap back at me like, oh, you're just filling in gaps for the show, you're doing all the legwork for the show's shortcomings. I'm making her be able to use a fucking magic spell more reasonable in my head. It's not the crux of her entire character arc. Hey look, it's the only 5 seconds in the show you can convince me Azula is actually flying. She doesn't even seem to be that good at it though, as she gets back down on the ground like right away. Okay, now how do I feel about this? I think Katara being the one to beat Azula is a really cool twist that most wouldn't see coming. And it is a very resourceful way for her to win. Once again, it's a brand new move and nothing anyone would really think to do. But is this better than Zuko finally beating Azula? Would that have been more satisfying? Yeah, I really do think so. But Zuko still gets a really nice moment in blocking the lightning. He selflessly puts his safety on the line for someone else, just like little Zuko would have. But is this really much more than a surface level moment for Katara? I think it's just cool. I don't think there's much more to say about it in terms of Katara, who's one of our main characters. She should be having big thematic moments in her final duel, but I don't feel like she does like everyone else. Wait, you're okay? Shit, maybe I should have tried harder with Jet. The final shots of Azula are great for what they tried to do. It's very sad the situation that Azula finds herself in, just because of the card she was dealt in life. But once again, this moment falls flat for me because her descent was handled so poorly. Oh, and add lightning scars on the list of parallels between Aang and Zuko as well. A very rare full CGI battlefield shot here. Could you imagine how bad this would have looked if they just used this for the whole battle? Oh, bullet dodged. Where the fuck did that come from? Oh, you see how smooth that was? Ozai's getting fucked on right now, but you gotta give him some style points. And speaking of Ozai getting fucked on, the biggest problem that I have with this fight is that it never feels like it's just 2 powerhouses meeting on a level playing ground and duking it out. For the first half, Aang is running in on the defensive, and for the second half, Ozai's running in on the defensive. Most people rank the last Agni Kai above Aang and Ozai when they talk about this finale. I feel like this fight would have been a lot more revered if it had a little more screen time of Aang surprising Ozai a few times without the Avatar state. It would make it feel more like a fight rather than 2 different chase scenes. Okay, this might also be the coolest move in the whole show. This one's cool in a different way though. It's like very technical. We can actually see this air blast moving towards Ozai in the shot prior. It's just hard to notice because of the spectacle of Aang dealing with the fire blasts.
Look at this fucking line I take. I am fucking clutch! Look at the fucking pace!
Fire Lord Ozai, you and your forefathers have devastated the balance of this world. And now, you shall pay the ultimate price!
Shit, man, there's not really much to say here. I wish there was. I just love this show. And now I have a question for you. It's one that I haven't heard asked very often at all, and whenever I ask it, I get a split response. Aang voluntarily leaves the Avatar state here. That much is clear. But my question is, when did he gain control over it? Was it literally just now? Was the idea of killing Ozai and betraying his ideal the thing that pushed him over the edge? Meaning that it was the primal, instinctual Avatar state fighting Ozai the whole time? Or was Aang in control the entire time during the fight, meaning that he himself fucked on Ozai, and that he himself was actually about to do it? I don't think there's any good way to tell, and I found that it's about a 50-50 split on what people believe on the matter. Most of the time, they haven't even thought the other way was a possibility. But when the world needed the Footscar continuity the most, it vanished.
Even with all the power in the world, you are still weak.
Ozai's line here actually mirrors something he said at the start of the fight.
I have all the power in the world.
I guess this is him kind of admitting that Aang's physically stronger. This is really cool that Aang uses seismic sense here. Awesome moment. He's come a long way. But it really makes me wish they didn't have the seismic sense moment in the runaway. How sick would this have been if this was the first time we saw Aang use it? Shit. Here's another example of, oh man, can't use that move, it's way too overpowered. Kind of plays back on the whole General Fong thing. Just completely immobilizing your opponents with earthbending like this? Man, it's lucky that it's the final battle and they can pull shit like this. This one's super hard to notice, but after Aang catches Ozai's first hand, he sort of does a Bagua movement to circle around the other side of him. He even seems to have his hand out like he did against Zuko that one time, perfectly using air nomad movement and earthbending in tandem. So in the shot here, I always thought it was kind of weird that Aang did a weird air fire blast, right? But he doesn't. It's that Ozai is actually breathing fire at him here and Aang is blocking it with an air blast. But it's kind of hard to tell, right? So, energy bending. Okay, it's a lot to handle out of completely nowhere, there's no doubt about that. Especially since the way Aang got it was because a lion turtle showed up and just gave him a free way out. It is cheap. This really takes a lot of the agency away from Aang, and that's my biggest problem with this. Not that Aang didn't kill Ozai, or that it may have been selfish for him to place his own ideals over the safety of the world. Aang didn't figure it out for himself, the world just gave him the answer. And this show has shown us time and time again that working through things and finding the answer for yourself is an awesome thing. And that usually involves looking at the problem from a new perspective and opening your mind. This wasn't an option anyone knew your mind could be open to. This wasn't an option to anyone on the team or any of the past avatars because no one knew. The audience didn't even know it was an option. Much unlike Aang's previous struggles, he doesn't have to work for it. He doesn't have to look at the situation in a new light. Not only that it's just totally out of left field, but it clashes with one of the biggest messages of the entire show: growth. Fuck, even look at the titles of the first and last episodes: The Boy in the Iceberg and Avatar Aang. This show is all about personal growth, but this time, at this most pivotal moment, it isn't. A giant fuck off turtle shows up and does it for him. That's why it feels cheap. I personally like that Aang doesn't kill Ozai. I think there are definitely things you shouldn't budge on because that's your way of thinking and that's part of who you are. Aang being steadfast and headstrong on that idea works fine for me, but having someone else solve this final problem for him does not. Plus, holy shit, could you imagine if Aang did kill Ozai? What a sour note to leave the show on. I mentioned this all the way back in episode 1, so I hope you've been paying attention. Throughout the entire show, Aang is shown to be weakened after leaving the Avatar state, just briefly. In the first 2 episodes, he collapses entirely, and throughout the rest of the show, he struggles less and less with it, but it's still obviously a burden. Until finally, here we are, he activates it on command and stands tall afterwards. Yeah, this ship is way too well put together for the beating it took, there's no way.
I took his bending away.
Wow, who taught you that?
A giant lion turtle.
You have the craziest adventures when you disappear.
What are you referring to again? This is the second time Toph vaguely references Aang just taking off. Are we not totally privy to all the Aang leaving the group stories?
Now that your firebending's gone, I guess we should call you the Loser Lord.
One of my favorite things about Avatar, I'm sure you can tell by this point, is the tone, and how it can keep things light. But I feel that the further we get into Book 3, there are more moments of levity that miss for me. I don't really need this scene of Ozai getting dunked on and looking like an idiot. This is another moment I wish they took a little more seriously.
I actually kind of like you. But don't ever break up with me again.
That's strike 3, May. You're out. You're officially deep red flag walking, and I'm not even talking about your fashion sense. This is totally where the last Agni Kai took place. You've got the same pools of water and graded floors here. How did they get this place to not look like it was carpet bombed?
I heard what you two did. I am the proudest father in the world.
I don't know, Hakoda. There should probably be some well-placed scolding here if you heard what Sokka did. Did you hear what Sokka did?
There's my favorite warriors. I have to admit, I kind of missed the face paint. So how's it feel to be back in uniform again?
It feels great.
Ty Lee had this line back on the beach about having 1,000 sisters and not wanting to spend her life as part of a matching set. I'm not totally sure what this means for that comment, because she's definitely matching now. Has she gotten over those issues, or is this just a writing blunder? I'll give it to them again. It's the finale. I'm in a nostalgic mood. Good for you, Ty Lee. And here Aang sits with my hypothesized best airbender in the world medallion, or very likely a recreation of it, worn both by Yang Chen and Monkey Otso in the past. Holy shit, the Swampbenders have a whole area cordoned off to themselves for the unified nation shot? I feel like we've seen 10 Swampbenders max.
Today, this war is finally over.
I really like that they show two families that had been uprooted by the war when Zuko announces that. Nice touch. The one thing that really bothers me here is Iroh isn't here. Not a single shot of him. Not even in the wide shots. We don't get a single shot of Iroh looking proud at the redeemed Fire Lord Zuko. Did he just stay in Ba Sing Se to get the Jasmine Dragon back together? To me, Iroh wouldn't miss this for the world, so it feels really empty that he's not here. Okay, and the Where's My Mom scene is a weird one. It's really the only major plot point that's left to tie up, so I feel like it's good that they do bring it up, but having it cut away is honestly disappointing. I don't necessarily think the show would have been stronger to leave it out, but it leaves a really interesting point in a really awkward place.
Where is my mother?
And we actually have some more prison bars imagery here too. Zuko is framed from behind the bars here again, but now it's clear with the door open behind him, he's found a way out. The bars even fully zoom out of shot in the final shot of the scene, like they were about to last time. And with the light spilling into the room from behind him on his side of the bars, it's clear that his journey past his mental imprisonment at the hands of the man in front of him is over. These two kids playing around near this tower of Fire Nation tanks are actually two of the same kids that Iroh imparted some wisdom on back in Tales of Ba Sing Se. And so is this kid. You can see all three of them in this shot. It's really nice to see Zuko is still humble with the title of Fire Lord compared to where he started, entitled and exiled. Man, where's Ty Lee, dude? The rest of the gang is here, even Mei. And don't tell me she's with the Kyoshi Warriors. Suki's here. Man, they ghosted Ty Lee so hard in this last scene.
I wanted to do a painting, so we always remember the good times together.
That's very thoughtful of you, Sokka. Wait, why did you give me Momo's ears?
Those are your hair loopies.
Now here I can appreciate some levity. We're wrapping up, and we fell in love with these characters because they feel like real, good people. So leaving them on a moment where they're all joking around and being happy works perfectly for me.
Hey, my belly's not that big anymore. I really trimmed down.
He's right.
And the entire show ending on Katara and Aang works just fine for me too. I think their relationship was built up to across the entire show, and is an alright note to finish on. Maybe I would have liked it if the last two scenes were reversed. Katara and Aang confirming their feelings for each other and then joining the group in the Jasmine Dragon, and then zooming out on a shot of the extended gang all having a good time. But still, I think this is a good scene to leave it on. Most everything tied up and everyone in a good place. Alright, episode thoughts first. As far as finales go, you can't really ask for a lot more. There's a lot of very satisfying and emotionally complex moments. I feel like just about every character and storyline gets a pretty satisfying ending, but it's still not perfect. But if we're being honest, how many stories have ever perfectly stuck the landing on the ending? Almost none. Avatar definitely stumbles in some areas, but not much more than the other greats. I think this episode is exactly what the show needed. A great wrap up on an exciting finale and characters we love saying goodbye and being happy. And I'm happy it did end. So many shows get caught up in the success and drag things out to have the stories never end, and they slowly peter out and die, and their legacy goes down in history as a tarnished one. Avatar: The Last Airbender had a story to tell, told it, and left you wanting more. That's what a good story does, and I'm forever grateful for it. And now, the final wrap-up. Avatar: The Last Airbender is my favorite show. I've watched it more times than I can count, and that is not an exaggeration. And I can count, like, really high. It's funny, actually. This is gonna be a short wrap-up. I've talked so much about the show, what is there left to say? Avatar means a lot to me. It's taught me lessons and gotten me through some rough times. I love its themes, its messages, its animation, its sound, and above all, its characters. I haven't found another show like Avatar yet. Not one that hits everything just the way it should like Avatar does. Maybe I will one day, but until then, Avatar stands as my favorite show. Now we're gonna get into the patron shoutouts, and then I'm gonna do a little unscripted rambling part after that to get my final feelings out on overanalyzing Avatar as a whole. Now, besides that, I guess all there is left to do is start another rewatch. Patron shoutouts. If you want to see what comes after Overanalyzing Avatar, you can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video. Biggest shoutouts of all go to my top patrons: Alex Schubert, who ran for mayor once and got elected to the Supreme Court somehow; ASD Invictus, who ate an entire Boeing 747 piece by piece over the course of 11 years; Burb, who makes a living by shoveling snow off skyscrapers with the rotors of a helicopter; Blade Typhoon, who chokeslammed an international terrorist through the windshield of a Lamborghini; Caesar's Ghost, who can read any book instantly by slamming his head into a hardcover copy of it. Costco 94, who has a flying carpet that has a handbrake for some reason. Danger Stranger, who was already the survivor of one world-ending event, he could probably pull it off again. Daniel Ward, who found a portal to the crawfish zone and thankfully found a way to close it. Dwarfy McMuffin, who walked across Antarctica in 21 days, but can't remember how they got there exactly. That party was fucking crazy. Emperor Tromedlov Dromai, who isn't able to see blue, but he can see Schlur, which is the color the rest of us can't see. Eric Barney, who made his own computer from scratch, mining all the metals he needed was kind of a pain. Etc., who brought a fully grown velociraptor back to life just to see if they could take it in a fight, and well, I haven't been writing compliments about a velociraptor. Finnish Blood, who won a neighborhood dunk contest by jumping out of a low-flying plane and bringing it to the rim with cataclysmic force. Fritz Sullivan, who, to get real for a second, was my first Fuck You Money patron and never missed a month. So biggest shout out to you, my man. Grayson Webster, who was actually a drone being powered by a supercomputer that wanted to experience human life. Hardwired Weird, who has one of the go-go gadget powers, he just hasn't figured out which one yet. I hope it's the helicopter hat. Harrison Poland, who went to his local gym and lifted every single weight at once, so everyone else just kinda gave up. I just wanted to be in the last Overanalyzing Avatar video. Who did it? Il Gerato, who killed the last samurai, making him the last samurai killer, leaving the position of last samurai killer open to the public. Jared Berkman, who crossed one warlock one time and now suddenly he turns into an octopus person every new moon. Jesse the Rock Johnson, who caught a fly using only one chopstick. Figure that shit out. John, whose underwater screams emit a blinding light. Kevin Hall, who crashed an office Christmas party by skydiving in through a window and he doesn't even work there. Literal NASA rocket scientist, who made one of those paper fortune tellers that is actually always right. Mandatory Sin, who calculated the absolute end of days, and it's frighteningly close, but they're still pretty chill about it. Mako Ore, who has secretly been storing solar power to unleash their ultimate move. Misha Boblov, who recreated the Mona Lisa using only a ballpoint pen, and it's valued at around the same price. Muting, who owns a beachfront property on every beach in the world, including one no one else has found yet. Nopetron, who carved their name into their elementary school desk and is now an urban myth to all the kids that have gone there since he graduated. Parker Brilliant, who got into a Latin rap battle with a ghost that he summoned from a Ouija board. Pran of Prem, who was actually the next stage of vampire, really breeded out that whole sun kills them thing. Random Curry, who got someone's number by singing All of Africa by Toto and somehow making all the instrument sounds at the same time. Sean Martin, who got hit by a bus throwing off everyone's schedule, so he gave each person $20 and then just carried on with his day. Civiac Door, who can open and close most sliding doors with his mind, but only when he gets really close to them for some reason. TDI Worm, who had his final battle against the Hooded Man and the Combine Harvester atop Mount Kilimanjaro and won. The Sinking Bubble, who got Mandela affected to the effect of 99.9% of reality changing. Much unlike everyone else who only notices small things. Be thankful they bear that cross for you. Thomas Lautenbach, who jumped the entire English Channel on a motorcycle with a jet engine attached to it. And You Frickin' Nerd, who's just about done with their own, even larger Hadron Collider. More huge shoutouts go to my other Fuck You Money patrons: Agent Rhino, Ben Misra, Bram G, Brendan Murphy, Donnie Snow, Dylan Calvo, Garrett Kane, Honor and Cultivation, Inflation Fairy, Jake the Rake, Jerry Kraft, Caitlin, Kennedy Stapleton, Leif Arnhammer, Lou Carrera, Michael Runke, Nostalgic Games, Nick Kapainen, Omega Fighter, Philly Days, Skylo, Sky Strider, Stephanie Riches, Tiago Nascimento, Varundo, Whitrow, Will Schneider, Wolfman Dan, and Zoompy. And of course my god overanalyzers: Active Sloth, Adam White, Alex Fritz, Alan Garvin, Ali QPZM, Andrew Watchett, Ananok Magnolis, Austin Gallup, Be My Valentine, Big Thirsty, Braden Shanahan, Brando Espinoza, Bran Muffin, Cade Stinson, Caleb Fosnock, Cameron Osola, Canon Corpse, Charles Barnett, Charlie Bronkowski, Check to You, Chloe Benton, Connor Doman, Dan Bertel, David Carlisle, DJ Jax, Dual Mutual Aid, Dominic Saint, Distent, Earth 2 John, Elja Chief, Eleanor Rose, Excited Face, Fingal Karn, Flex Short B, Gennaro, Gregoire Lardy, Isaiah Wilson, It's Carton, Jacob Whitecotton, Jake the Garden Rake, James Oakland, Jaziel Martinez, Jackson, Jay Lambo, Jimbo, John Ajaka, Jop Moreland, Joshua Bone, Josie Tiffany, Justin Fletchall, Justin Scott, Justin Moore, Kate and Connor Prendergast, Kadax, Kazuto Kirigaya, Keon Gilliland, KT and Den B, Lady Serena, Lehman Russ, Leeville Smallme, Life Before Death, Madison McCone, Mario, Matthew Stargell, Medium D Speaks, Mayor Timmel, Michael Conrad, Michael Springle, Mike the Magic Man, Mitchell Gobrecht, Morius 007, Nathan William Sizemore, Nickel Pickle 582, Nicholas Abbott, Noah W. Chetlet, Omar, Ori, Papa Jaka, Parker Gass, Philip Conti, Purple Danielle, Quentin, Radiator Rat, Ranga, Ray, Riley Booth, Rob Lobster 4065, Rocket Mist, Ryan Maxwell, Samuel Grave, Shadow Fox Nero, Sky Not Darkened, Sky Shabot, Sophie Kitty, Spory, Stab Dog, Stephanile, Steinwan, Sunlime, Super Salad 726, Super Snipper, Terran Solis, The Alternist, The Flyway 27, The Hardys 01, Timothy Bazzelli, Travis Chestnut, Triad Juice, Two Loaves of Bread, Valdemar Holland, Vavina Lockfire, Wilbur Base Boosted, William Willett, Wool, Wyatt Pence, Zancrim, Ya Boy Mike, Zachaholism, and then there's a guy that signed up with some sort of bear face. I don't know. So that's it. That's all she wrote. I haven't done one of these unscripted portions since we were halfway through the series, so it felt appropriate to do it again now. So this has just been a really cool experience, making this show and having people along for the ride. When I started this over a year ago now, I didn't think anyone was going to watch these. I was making these for myself. And honestly, up until the very end, I was still making them for myself. This is a passion project for me. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, so I'm kind of proud of myself that I got it done. And Avatar's still my favorite show, and I'll probably still watch Avatar throughout the rest of my life. I've actually noticed things in the show that I wish I pointed out in Overanalyzing Avatar in the episodes, but it was too late. The episode was already made. Like, I'm still watching the show and finding things that I've never seen before. It's incredible. But I've talked so much about this show at this point, I feel like I've said my piece. And I'll definitely still be talking about Avatar in the future on this channel, but it's just, you know, looking back, I've said a lot. And my mission statement in episode 1, I said I wanted to say everything I've ever wanted to say about this show. And I feel like I've done that. All my controversial takes, or maybe even bad takes, I've said it all. So was Overanalyzing Avatar perfect? No, but it was a really fun ride. But even if I was making these videos for myself when I started, and even to a large extent now, I'm extremely grateful for everyone that's watched these episodes and subscribed to my channel and shown me any support in any way. Whether that be likes or comments or sharing it with people or whatever you did, you've all made this a really fun ride. And of course, shoutouts to the patrons as a whole. You've all changed my life drastically for the better, and that is not an exaggeration. So this is it. The end of Overanalyzing Avatar. We move on. I hope some of you decide to stick around and enjoy what my future content has to hold. Thanks a lot, guys.